The Four Attachment Styles, Why You Love the Way You Love, an audiobook by Rooted in Self-Love. Introduction. Ever wondered why your heart races when your phone buzzes? Or why you secretly celebrate when your partner doesn't text back for an hour? Believe it or not, the way we love and cling or run for the hills is etched deep in our earliest relationships. Decades of psychology research, from John Bowlby's pioneering work in the 1950s to Mary Ainsworth's famous strange situation experiments, show that human beings are wired to form attachment bonds. Bowlby, the father of attachment theory, described attachment as a lasting psychological connectedness between human beings. In other words, that insecure, blistering, panicked feeling when someone we care about isn't around, it's not just in your head, it's part of our evolutionary heritage. But here's the good news. Understanding these deep-seated patterns helps explain a lot about how we behave in romance, family, friendships, and even at work. Once you know why your brain reacts like a 6-year-old whenever a loved one goes missing, you can start to gently rewire it. In this book, we'll take you on a fun, down-to-earth tour of the 4 main attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized, covering their roots, behaviors, and how they pop up in every kind of relationship. We'll cite the experts, yes, even John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth. Along the way, sprinkle in stories and humor, and finish up with practical tips for moving toward a more secure style. After all, love might be mysterious, but as Amir Levine and Rachel Heller note, attachment research shows that people tend to become more secure when they are in a relationship with someone secure. So let's dive in with a laugh and maybe a Kleenex and decode why we love the way we love. Chapter 1. The Roots of Attachment. Long before your first crush or breakup, you were hardwired to crave connection. In fact, long before Freud's oral stage theory, John Bowlby and his contemporaries realized that infants aren't just attached because they get fed by a parent. Bowlby's observations in orphanages during World War II, among other settings, showed that babies will scream and cry for comfort, even if they've just eaten. As Bowlby put it, attachment was characterized by clear behavioral patterns. In plain English, when children are frightened, they seek proximity to their caregiver to get comfort and care. In other words, your baby brain came with a built-in proximity alarm. If mom leaves the room, the alarm goes off. This system kept our ancestors alive. A lone cave kid far from the campfire was lunch for a saber-toothed tiger. Bowlby argued that evolution favored babies who clung close, and a motivational system designed to regulate attachment emerged. Simply put, we need each other to survive. Later, Bowlby's colleague Mary Ainsworth put these ideas to the test. In the 1970s, she did the legendary strange situation experiments. Mothers and 1 to 2-year-olds in a playroom, mom steps out briefly, then returns. Researchers watched how babies reacted. The results? Attachment styles. Some toddlers cried a lot, and then calmed quickly when mom came back, secure. Some wailed like it was game over when mom left, and then clung inconsolably when she returned, anxious/ambivalent. Others barely blinked when she left or came back. They waved bye-bye with a shrug, avoidant. And a few kiddos behaved super strangely. A dazed stare, frozen postures, or erratic shrieking, later called disorganized. From these studies, 3 infant styles emerged at first: secure, ambivalent/anxious, and avoidant, with a 4th disorganized style added later by Mary Main and Judith Solomon in 1986 to account for the chaotic cases. Think of it like a blueprint of love. The way you first learn about comfort and safety with your caregiver lays the groundwork for a lifetime of relationships. Coventry NHS summed this up nicely. The primary attachment relationship leads to the development of a blueprint, internal working model of this relationship, which influences later relationships. In other words, your baby me inherited a little instruction manual for how to love and trust or not. These infant patterns really do echo through life. Bowlby himself said that our earliest bonds have a tremendous impact that continues throughout life. Hazan and Shaver, 1987, later took this literally into the realm of romance, finding that people's adult love lives often mirror their baby style. They found roughly 60% of adults classify themselves as secure, with about 20% anxious and 20% avoidant, eerily similar to the infant stats. And, perhaps unsurprisingly, those who identify as secure often recall parents who were affectionate and reliable. In short, the cradle-to-grave attachment idea is real. As Dr. Krista Jordan, a couples therapist, notes, we unconsciously expect our romantic partners to act as our parents did. These tendencies play out whether or not we realize it. 5 quick takes on early attachment, biology overfeedings. Bowlby's research and Harlow's famous monkey studies proved babies seek comfort over calories. Even starved baby monkeys preferred a soft cloth mom to a wire mom with food. Evolutionary drive. We aren't lazy leeches. Our brains wired us to stick close to caregivers for survival. Sensitive caregivers equals secure kids. When parents were consistently loving, babies grew up feeling safe to explore a secure base. Inconsistency breeds anxiety. When care is hit or miss, children grow up forever anxious, like checking the doorbell a dozen times if your partner is late. An Ainsworth term is ambivalent, anxious, frightening caregivers' disorganization. If a parent is both protector and threat, e.g. abusive, or very unpredictable, a child's system breaks. They act confused or frightened. Main and Solomon coined this disorganized attachment. NHS adds it's often linked to developmental delays, aggression, and hypervigilance. So those are the roots. Our needs for love and security literally predate language. In the next chapters, we'll meet the grown-up versions of these 4 styles. Ready to find out which one you are? Spoiler, most of us are at least a little of each. Chapter 2, Secure, Comfortably You. If attachments were characters in a rom-com, the secure style would be the warm-hearted best friend who always has their life together. Secure folks feel generally at ease with intimacy and independence. They trust others and assume people are fundamentally good. As Walden University counselor Katarzyna Peoples explains, a secure adult is strong at reading a partner's emotional cues and responding to them. You might recognize a secure person by these hallmarks. They calmly communicate needs, handle arguments constructively, and bounce back from conflict without spiraling. They generally feel worthy of love and don't constantly seek reassurance. In childhood, secure babies had caregivers who were reliably there. In Ainsworth's playroom, a secure baby cries when mom leaves but quickly calms when she returns, knowing she will come back. They got pick-me-ups when they needed them. As a result, children learn their world is basically safe. They develop what Bowlby called a secure base. They feel confident exploring. Yes, they'll try the other slide on the playground because they know mom's arms await if things get scary. Or, as Coventry NHS puts it, securely attached children know a responsive caregiver exists, so they can explore knowing there's a safe haven to return to. Signs of being secure. Stable confidence. You generally expect people to be there for you. You feel worthy of love. Psych Central notes secure people trust their partner's intentions, and jealousy is usually not an issue. Healthy independence. You're fine alone, but also fine together. You don't freak out if plans change. You can self-soothe, maybe with ice cream and a good book, and bounce back. Emotional regulation. Ups and downs happen, but you don't totally explode over misunderstandings. You communicate calmly. I felt hurt when, instead of ghosting or yelling, easy closeness, you can be vulnerable. You'll tell your friend or partner what's on your mind. You also respect boundaries. You know you can seek comfort and let others lean on you. A day in the life of a secure person. Jack and Emily have been dating for a year. If Jack is 10 minutes late from work, Emily doesn't assume the worst. She sends a quick, "Are you okay?" text, but doesn't escalate with 40 heart emojis and frantic phone calls. Phew. When they argue about baby names, Jack listens calmly to Emily's feelings and Emily trusts Jack's apologies. They do fight sometimes. Who doesn't? But they always resolve it. Dr. Peoples notes that securely attached people grow up feeling secure and can engage in the world with others in a healthy way. And sure enough, Jack feels confident revealing his insecurities because he trusts Emily won't abandon him over a freak out. Secure in other roles. Secure attachment isn't just about romance. A securely attached child often grows into a caring, present parent or sibling. They learned care equals safe, so they give comfort easily. At work, a secure employee cooperates well, asks for help when needed, and handles feedback constructively. They form friendships rooted in mutual trust and fun, not drama. Check yourself. Here are some gentle questions to ponder. They aren't quizzes, just self-reflection. Do you usually trust people to do what they say? For example, if your friend promises support, do you believe it? Are you comfortable both being alone sometimes and spending time with others? When upset, can you calm down without feeling totally lost? Can you openly share your feelings and also set healthy boundaries? If you mostly answered yes and think of yourself or your childhood as, "I feel understood, comforted, and valued," congratulations, you likely lean secure. Secure attachment is often called the holy grail of relationships because it leads to the most stability and happiness. But even being mostly secure is fantastic. As Amir Levine and Rachel Heller suggest, being around secure people can actually help the rest of us become more secure ourselves. Chapter 3, Anxious, the Worrywart. On the opposite end of sit tight and trust, we have the anxious, aka ambivalent/preoccupied, attachment style. Think of anxious as the heart-on-sleeve worrier. If you're anxious attached, you crave intimacy. You might love cuddles, deep talks, and grand romantic gestures, but you also fear abandonment. Small uncertainties feel huge. That text not replied to within 5 minutes? Cue the panic. In infancy, anxious babies had caregivers who were loving sometimes. As Psych Central explains, these kids experience very high distress when their caregivers leave because they never know if support will come. Maybe mom rushed in after one tearful night cry, but ignored the next. The result, as Peoples puts it, anxious kids have no security for what to expect, feel unstable. They learn to overanalyze every mood and word from their caregiver. Was that frown real? Did you mean it? They might become like little detectives, constantly scanning faces for signs of approval or rejection. Anxious patterns translate to adult love life like this. You deeply desire closeness, but you live in fear it will slip away. You might say yes to everything, flooding your calendar with dates and texts to please partners and keep them close. According to Amir Levine, anxiously attached people tend to quickly get flooded with negative emotions and think in extremes, and anticipate the opposite of a positive response. In plain terms, your inner narrative is often, "They must not love me, because why wouldn't they reply?" The Cleveland Clinic sums it up well. These kids were often left wondering if anyone would reliably meet their needs. So as adults, they become concerned when their loved one goes and are comforted by them coming back. Signs of anxious attachment. Clingy tendencies. You really hate being alone. Even minor distance, like a partner spending time on a hobby, feels threatening. High sensitivity, a slight change in tone, "okay," versus "okay," can be fuel for a spinning mind. You may find yourself fretting over drama that others never noticed. Need for reassurance. You look for constant proof, maybe texting your partner 20 times a day or asking friends, "Are we cool?" after every hangout. You feel relief when people reaffirm your importance. Emotional roller coaster. Joy and despair swing back and forth quickly. You go from "we're so in sync" to "they totally hate me" over small events. Low self-esteem, feeling unworthy of love, is common. Jealousy and doubt. Insecurities run high. You might feel jealous of your partner's friends or doubt if they really care, even when they do everything right. A day in the life. Meet Mia, whose inner coach is Lieutenant Needy from Love City. Mia's boyfriend Mark is heading out after dinner, and before he even says goodbye, she blurts, "Text me when you get there." That text arrived. She freaked out because his battery was low, and he didn't reply for 15 minutes. At work, Mia obsessively checks her phone. At bedtime, she lies awake, replaying Mark's last conversation, wondering if she said something wrong. It's exhausting. In fact, a secure friend of hers once said, "Mia, it's been 45 minutes. Stop reading into his silence." Mia's experience is all too common. Psych Central notes that anxious people in relationships often have fear of rejection and significant fear of abandonment. They may try to know their partner's every thought and fear ghosting, being left out of the blue. Worse, at its extreme, the constant tension can even affect health. Levine points out that lacking a secure base can leave your body in chronic tension and risk physical ailments. Yikes, just from love. In other relationships, anxiety isn't limited to lovers. An anxiously attached adult might cling to parents, colloquially, a mama's boy/girl, always seeking approval. With friends, they might fear being ditched and keep intense tabs on the friendship. At work, imagine Mia again. She might stay up late double-checking every email, terrified of criticism. Research even shows that women tend to report higher anxiety in relationships. Men report more avoidance. But everyone of any gender can be anxious. The key idea is inconsistency in early care. Peele says anxious kids had inconsistent parenting that isn't attuned. 1 minute met, next minute ignored. That unpredictability taught them their world is shaky. So now they cling to any bit of love like a lifeline. Self-reflection. For the worriers, grab a cup of tea and ask yourself, when someone I care about is away, do I panic or feel completely fine? Do I often feel not good enough for people? Have I ever woken up extra early to text someone just to make sure I'm still in their thoughts? Do friends tell me I overthink or should chill out? If this resonates, you might be on Team Anxious. The silver lining is that recognizing this pattern is step one. As Walden's Peoples emphasizes, attachment styles aren't destiny. Someone can change from an insecure attachment style and develop healthy and secure bonds in future relationships. Stick with us. We'll learn ways to soothe that anxiously attached part of you and lean on secure support when you can, yes, you can breathe even when the text reply is late. Chapter 4. Avoidant, the lone wolf. Meet avoidant, sometimes called dismissive avoidant. If anxious is glue, avoidant is the other extreme. Too much space. Avoidant individuals prize independence above all. They secretly, or not so secretly, believe they don't really need others. They prefer to rely on themselves. And if emotions rise up, they shove them down as if they were sticky messes. Where did this come from? In infancy, avoidant babies learned, okay, guess I'm on my own, quickly. Maybe their caregivers were cold, busy, or uninterested in cuddles. If a cry for comfort was met with "stop crying," the little one figured, crying doesn't help. Psych Central notes that some avoidant parents reprimanded children for depending on them or left them to fend for themselves. Instead of getting hugs, these kids got a handy lesson. Feelings are inconvenient. So baby, you grew up putting a lid on needs and thinking, I don't need anyone. Fast forward to adulthood. Avoidant attached folks often act as if they barely care about closeness. They may seem aloof, even mysterious. A common joke, when an avoidant person hears, I love you, their reply might be, thanks. They might find labels like boyfriend/girlfriend claustrophobic. According to Peoples, avoidants do not want or need to rely on others. They want to be in control. Translation. To them, commitment is like a shock collar. Signs of avoidant attachment. Extreme self-sufficiency. You hate feeling needy. Often you think, I don't need anyone, and you vigorously make it true. Emotional distance. You keep people at arm's length, sometimes literally. Deep talks. Hard pass. Sharing feelings is like ripping off a Band-Aid, painful and to be avoided. Discomfort with intimacy. You may enjoy sex and companionship, but get squeamish at hugs or declarations of love. Getting too close triggers a panic response. Dismissive attitude. You might downplay your own or others' emotions. Just chill, it's not a big deal, because showing strong feelings feels like losing control. Avoidance of commitment. You avoid defining relationships, often by ghosting or keeping things casual. You may have a long list of exes and casual hookups, but balk at exclusive dating. A day in the life. Picture Alex, who prides himself on being the man of steel. He replies K to goodnight texts and keeps late nights for himself. When his friend shows affection, hang out, he might cancel last minute, thinking, I need some me time. At parties, he's the cool guy who smiles but doesn't mingle in the crazy group cuddle. He'd rather finish that novel than have a heart-to-heart. In line with this, research on workplace attachment notes. The avoidant employee is not the social type. They do not seek closeness with colleagues or leaders, and the same goes for love interests. Under the hood, though, avoidants are often carrying pain they refuse to show. They learned early that reaching out didn't help, so now they cope by armoring up. They might say, I'm fine on my own, but sometimes even they feel lonely. Interestingly, psychologists have found avoidants are quick to act in crises and meet deadlines because they rely on just themselves. Being a lone wolf has its strengths. When danger looms, they're the first to spring into action without waiting for help. But the flip side is they struggle to trust. Like Psych Central notes, avoidant folks often expect that depending on others will let them down. Avoidant in love. An avoidant person in a relationship might say they're very busy when asked to meet your family. They might keep conversations superficial. So, how was your day? Fine. End of discussion. They likely dislike PDA and value space. Your texts may get single-word replies or none at all. To an anxiously attached partner, this can feel like a slap in the face, but to avoidants, it's their protective shield. They genuinely may not understand why everyone needs so much emotional check-in, turning away at the dinner table. Avoidant kids often grew up expected to be independent. Coventry NHS explains their parents may have actively discouraged signs of affection or distress. As a result, avoidant adults may also have trouble connecting with family. They might gravitate toward work or hobbies to avoid family drama. In friendships, they tend to have a small circle. They might text you only when they need something. Hey, at least you'll hear from them when they do text. Self-reflection. For the lone wolves, grab a comfy blanket. For this one, you deserve it. Do you pride yourself on never needing help? When someone tells you, I'm worried about you, do you feel annoyed or boxed in? Do people complain you're emotionally distant or a workaholic? Do you find yourself saying, I'm fine, a lot, even when upset? If you nodded along with many of those, you might belong to Club Avoidant. Remember, needing someone isn't weakness, it's human. A secure person would see an avoidance walls as red flags, but avoidants keep building them higher. The good news? Those walls can come down. In Chapter 10, we'll explore how to let others in at your own pace. Chapter 5, Disorganized, the wild card. If secure is sunshine and anxious/avoidant are rain and fog, disorganized attachment is a sudden thunderstorm. This style is the most complex. It's a confusing combo of anxious and avoidant traits. You might push someone away one moment and chase them the next without a clear pattern. Think of a cat purring then swatting your hand randomly. It's unpredictable and puzzling for everyone involved. Disorganized attachment usually arises in chaotic, sometimes frightening childhoods. Imagine a toddler whose parent is sometimes warm and loving, but other times yelling or behaving erratically. The parent, instead of a safe haven, becomes a source of fear. Coventry NHS notes that disorganized patterns often occur when the parent is a threat to the child through abusive behavior. These kids are helpless. They want to trust their parents. But those parents might become angry or retreat. The child ends up with no strategy, hence disorganized. A baby with this style may freeze or look terrified in the strange situation, for example, rocking or hitting their head, because they are torn between seeking comfort and fleeing danger. How does that look in an adult? Very messy. Sadly, disorganized adults can alternate between clinginess and coldness. One minute they're begging for love. The next minute they're pushing someone away with snark or silence. They might have intense relationships, but sabotage them. Psych Central writes, people with disorganized attachment styles tend to have unpredictable and confusing behavior in relationships. They may alternate between seeking closeness and pushing it away. This roller coaster can leave both partners exhausted and bewildered. I never know which Taylor I'll get today. Often, disorganized folks carry high anxiety and mistrust alongside emotional volatility. Think of contradictions. They desire intimacy very strongly, but simultaneously fear it. A classic push-pull. In fact, Meredith quotes that disorganized attachment is sort of a mix of anxious and avoidant. Signs include sudden fear of rejection, inability to calm oneself, and mental health struggles like panic attacks or mood swings. People's even notes links to self-harm and mood disorders in disorganized attachment. A day in the life. Imagine Sam grew up in a home where sometimes mom was an angel and sometimes she'd fly into rage. Now Sam's romantic life is like a reality show. When a partner tries to leave after an argument, Sam panics and pleads. When the same partner offers affection later, Sam feels smothered and flinches. Friends feel like they're walking on eggshells because Sam can't quite be counted on to react normally. It's the emotional Wild West, disorganized in other bonds. In family settings, these individuals may be hypervigilant and controlling. They've learned to guard against unpredictable hurt. As parents themselves, they might either replicate chaos or swing the other way, becoming overly rigid in an attempt to control what once felt uncontrollable. Importantly, if any style carries a strong, I'm struggling sign, it's disorganized. It's often rooted in trauma. If this feels very true for you or someone you know, professional support, therapy, support groups can be especially helpful. People with disorganized attachment can work toward security. Change is possible for everyone, but it usually takes time and patience. Self-reflection. For the wild cards, this one is tricky because part of being disorganized is not knowing how you feel. Here are some gentle clues. Do you oscillate between wanting closeness terribly and then wanting to retreat? I love you. No, I don't. Do people say you're unpredictable or that they never know what to expect from you? Do you have a lot of anxiety or anger in relationships, but also feel hurt by any distance? Did you experience frightening or chaotic situations growing up, even if they sound small now? Your younger self felt big fear. If this resonates, know that you're not alone and not broken, just coping with big stuff. Therapy approaches like EMDR or trauma-focused CBT can help sort out these tangled feelings. The goal is to transform that internal chaos into the steadier waters of security, one step at a time. Chapter 6, Attachment in Romantic Relationships. So far we've met the 4 styles in isolation. Now let's see how they actually play out in love, the tinderbox of attachments. As Hazan and Shaver famously argued, romantic relationships are attachment relationships. That means our love mode is really just our attachment system turned up to 11, ready for some real-world romance analysis with a dash of humor. Secure in love, securely attached people are excellent romantic partners. They trust their crushes and communicate openly. They don't wake up every morning thinking, OMG, did they leave me? Because they expect their partner to show up. As Psychology Today notes, secure people express their needs directly instead of playing games. So when Jamie with a secure style needs a hug, he'll simply say, I'm feeling off today, can we cuddle? No mind games, no worrying about rejection, just straightforward honesty. In response, securely attached partners tend to stay calm, reassure, and engage positively. Researchers Jordan and People summarize that securely attached lovers tend to navigate relationships well. They're generally positive, trusting, and loving to their partners. Think of a secure couple. They argue, sure, but after a good discussion, they both feel understood. Jealousy is rare. Trust runs deep. Secure people can give love wholeheartedly. I feel worthy of love, and also give their partner space. They're like superhero partners who see a blinking low battery icon on your emotional tank and calmly say, I got you, without panicking or snoozing. A fun aside, secure partners can actually help their anxious or avoidant mates improve. Amir Levine points out that being with a secure person tends to make the insecure partner feel more secure over time. It's like emotional osmosis, in a good way. Anxious in love. Anxious attached people bring intensity to relationships. Both good and bumpy. They're often loving and attentive, but also clingy. They might shower a new partner with gifts and love songs, and also track their friend's Instagram story to count the minutes since the last like. One Levine quote nails it. If you're anxious when you start to feel something is bothering you in a relationship, you tend to quickly get flooded with negative emotions and think in extremes. In practice, they assume the worst outcome and have a hard time believing everything is okay. In a romantic conflict, an anxious partner might blow up with worry or tears at the slightest hint of distance. For example, if their date doesn't text goodnight, they might launch a barrage of messages seeking reassurance. The partner, often secure or avoidant, may get overwhelmed. The anxious person's world can feel like it's on fire even during a minor dispute. On the plus side, an anxious person is often very in tune with feelings and great at empathy. They just need frequent check-ins. Psych Central points out anxious lovers may try to know their partner's every thought and feel intense fear when stability is threatened. In healthy partnerships, a secure mate can reassure them. I love you, yes, I'm here, teaching their anxious partner over time that closeness is safe. But in mixed anxious avoidant pairs, drama can ensue. See the next part. Avoidant in love. An avoidant person in a romantic context is the universe's reminder that opposites attract and sometimes repel. They value love abstractly. Ah, yes, love. How nice, but fear actual intimacy. If confronted with deep feelings, they might shrug it off or walk away. The Attachment Project blog sums it: the avoidant or dismissive type do not want or need to rely on others. They are unlikely to open up to others. In everyday romance, an avoidance style shows up as a preference for casual dating or taking things slow forever. They might avoid the L word, avoid meeting family, avoid multi-word texts. They can fall in love, their hormones still work, but they'll still insist, I'm fine, when their partner asks how they feel. When pressure mounts, let's move in, an avoidant will likely retreat or break up. At their worst, they date perfectly normal people until one day spontaneously deciding, I don't see a future, often leaving the other person heartbroken and confused. However, avoidants can also be dutiful and self-sufficient partners. They won't cling, they won't yell, and they'll quite likely pay the bills on time. In fact, Levine notes avoidants can be superheroes when it comes to reacting quickly in threatening and dangerous situations, maybe helpful in a zombie apocalypse scenario. But the day-to-day needs of emotional sharing, that's a stretch. Disorganized in love, disorganized attachment, makes romance feel like defusing a bomb blindfolded. People with this style may chase love intensely for days, then freeze out their partner the next. Their relationships often swing between hot, clingy declarations and cold mood swings or sarcasm. Friends describe their lovers as super intense, then totally distant. It's because internally they're torn. I need you versus I can't trust you. A quote from above is apt. They never know what's coming next from the disorganized partner. The other person in the relationship is on a roller coaster. This style is so unpredictable that it's beyond simple advice. It usually stems from deep-seated fear. Grown-ups sometimes call it a fearful avoidant pattern. For example, Taylor might break down crying one moment and accuse their partner of betrayal the next moment. That's the disorganized mix of anxious and avoidant flaring up. In therapy circles, couples like this often explore past trauma to heal. Mixed-style couplings. Many classic relationship problems actually come from style clashes. An anxious avoidant pair is famous. The anxious pursues, the avoidant flees, creating a push-pull cycle. Levine/Heller's book Attached humorously calls avoidance and anxiously attached partners a common disaster. Anxious folks keep chasing, avoidants give mixed signals, and a secure observer would say, red flags everywhere. However, if at least one partner is secure, it tends to help stabilize things. Secure people tend to set a calm tone and soothe the relationship. Check-in questions in your romantic relationships, past or present. Do you notice patterns like these? For each style, secure. Most likely you felt okay during breaks or arguments, trusting things would work out. You could share needs comfortably. Anxious. Did you feel like a detective, analyzing every pause in conversation? Did your heart speed up at the thought of someone leaving you? Avoidant. Did you ever think, why does she want to talk so much, and actually feel relieved at being alone? Do you push away compliments? Disorganized. Maybe you recognize the blame game. One moment pleading, the next lashing out unexpectedly. No matter your style, the goal is awareness. If you see yourself in these descriptions, you're on the right track to understanding why you do what you do in love and how you might find more peace. More on that soon. Chapter 7, Attachment in the Family, Roots, and Home. What about family ties, our oldest relationships? Attachment styles influence how we bond with parents, children, and siblings. Remember, your early attachment is your first family love story, so it naturally colors all later family relationships. Secure style and family. Growing up secure often means your parents were there reliably. You probably had happy memories of comfort, scraped knees soothed, goodnight hugs, encouragement. As an adult, you likely replicate this warmth. You might be the parent who reads bedtime stories and comforts tears. You talk openly with siblings. Since you trust others, you can handle family ups and downs, arguments, breakups, with a belief that these bonds will survive. In short, you treat family like you've treated partners, with consistency, respect, and love. Anxious style and family. An anxiously attached child might have been the one clinging to mom's leg at kindergarten drop-off, terrified of abandonment. Or maybe they were the overachieving, people-pleasing teen trying to win approval by being the good child. As a parent, an anxious adult might hover or worry excessively about their kids, micromanaging sleep, playdates, etc. They may also need a lot of validation from their own parents or in-laws, interpreting any slight as rejection. Siblings might remember this person as the one who needed everyone's attention at family events or burst into tears over perceived slights. Avoidant style and family. An avoidant child could have been the one your friends called the independent kid. They might have been happy playing alone, uninterested in affection. As adults, avoidant parents might emphasize self-reliance. When I was your age, they might not attend school plays or rarely hug. They might have a fondness for tough love. In sibling dynamics, they could be aloof or have casual friendships in the family, but keep things surface level. The classic avoidant parent, okay with their child growing up, almost too okay, and might even get uncomfortable if the kid is really needy. Disorganized style and family. Children with disorganized attachment often come from very troubled homes. chaotic, frightening, or deeply unpredictable. They might have witnessed abuse or lived through a parent's breakdown. As adults, they might either replicate those dysfunctions or swing to the opposite extreme, either becoming hyperprotective, fearing the world outside, or as chaotic spouses themselves. If they become parents, their children might experience anger outbursts or emotional unavailability because the parent's model was so broken. Alternatively, sometimes disorganized adults become very anxious with their own kids, overly smothering them in an attempt to prevent repeating old hurts. One key fact: attachment styles often run in the family. Coventry NHS points out that if our early emotional needs weren't met, the effect can last a lifetime, and styles are frequently passed from generation to generation. In other words, patterns repeat. If your parents were anxiously attached, you likely learned anxiety. If they were avoidant, you grew up thinking, well, that's how people operate. That's why awareness is so powerful. You can decide to break the cycle. Family reflection prompts. Do you notice you treat your own children or nieces/nephews similarly to how you wish your parents treated you? Or do you do the opposite to compensate? How did you feel as a kid when your parents said goodbye or came home late? If you panicked, perhaps that was an anxious clue. In holiday gatherings, are you the relaxed one, secure, the overly anxious one needing everyone's approval, the loner who'd rather nap, avoidant, or the unpredictable one, mood swings/disorganized? Understanding these patterns in your family of origin can be emotional, but it's key to healing. If your parents were secure, count your blessings. You had a sturdy emotional launch pad. If they were not, remember, attachment is a developmental skill, not a moral flaw. You can learn new ways. Chapter 8: Attachment in Friendships. Our attachment wiring doesn't reserve itself only for family and lovers. It colors all close relationships. Think of friendships as practice love. We trust friends, vent to them, and rely on them. So the same styles show up. Secure style and friends. Securely attached people tend to have strong, healthy friendships. They trust friends, communicate well, and bounce back from conflicts. If they haven't heard from a friend in a few days, they don't immediately panic or brood. They're the ones who share everything with friends, good or bad, and also support them reliably. A secure friend is easy to be around and usually forms deep bonds. As one therapist notes, secure folk enjoy relationships without needing them desperately. They can comfortably text back in a day instead of freaking out. Anxious style and friends. Anxious attached people often have very invested friendships, but sometimes they're high maintenance. They may worry a friend doesn't like them anymore after just one missed call. They might frequently test friendships. Do you still care about me? Or get upset if not included. On the plus side, anxious friends can be very loyal and caring. They just want lots of validation. If you're anxious, you might feel jealous when your BFF makes other plans, or you might reveal too much personal stuff too soon out of eagerness. Avoidant style and friends. Avoidant people tend to keep friendships light. They might have a few activity friends, like a running buddy or gaming pal, but rarely deep heart-to-heart friends. Small talk and hanging out at parties are fine, but they slip out when conversations get emotional. An avoidant friend might take ages to reply to a text because he was just busy, or they might cancel plans at the last minute without apology. They value their own space, so they often come off as cool or distant to friends. At work, research notes they avoid interpersonal closeness and prefer solo tasks. Same in friendships, but they can be counted on to do favors, fix your computer, bring beer, since those tasks are straightforward and don't require emotional labor. Disorganized style and friends. These friendships can be confusing. One day your buddy might be very attached, wanting constant company. The next day, they might ghost you. Disorganized friends can give mixed signals. Loving texts followed by radio silence. This makes their friends uneasy. They might also have a history of very intense friendships or quick falling outs, reflecting that push-pull pattern. Sometimes these individuals are both clingy and critical, which can accidentally push friends away. As a general tip, try not to write off friends based on style. For example, if an avoidant friend cancels on you, it might not be about you, they just function differently. If an anxious friend is overly needy, it's usually from fear, not malice. Secure friends, meanwhile, might act as anchors. They tend to forgive a lot and reassure you. In fact, Levine and Heller emphasize that being around secure people can help the rest of us feel more secure. So cherish the friends who get you and set the tone of trust. Friendship prompts. Do you often need immediate replies from friends, or do you let them have their space? Are you the friend who's always arranging the next hangout to feel connected, or the one who goes MIA for days because you're fine? How do you feel when friends share news without you, excitement or a pang of worry? When you have a problem, do you talk it out with friends comfortably like a secure person, or do you hide it like an avoidant, or do you simultaneously crave help and feel you shouldn't burden them, like anxious? Friendships are a bit looser, but our attachment system still ticks in the background. They're great testing grounds. Learn how you react: jealousy, distancing, openness in friendland, and you'll see a preview of how you react in deeper relationships. Chapter 9, Attachment in the Workplace. Yes, even your job isn't immune to attachment dynamics. We form bonds at work with mentors, bosses, colleagues, and our style follows us there. Workplace studies are catching on. Bowlby's ideas have even been extended to office politics. Hazan and Shaver noted as early as 1990 that attachment patterns show up with coworkers and leaders. In plain terms, your attachment style can affect teamwork, leadership, and stress on the job. Secure in the office, a securely attached employee generally cooperates well. They trust their boss and colleagues, communicate effectively, and handle feedback without taking it as personal rejection. If they're in a leadership role, they tend to be supportive and responsive to their team. A secure person at work doesn't need constant praise or space. They do their job well and let others do theirs. Anxious in the office. An anxious person at work might be the classic overachiever who worries about approval. They might seek constant feedback. Is this report okay? Am I doing this right? They are perfectionists, fearing negative criticism. Psychologists note anxious employees often constantly seek approval. They'll work overtime to avoid confrontation or make sure they're included in every project. This can cause stress and burnout. On the bright side, anxious employees can be very attentive to others' needs, sometimes to a fault. They just need reassurance that they're valued. Avoidant in the office. Think of the lone wolf colleague. Avoidants at work prefer to work on their own and avoid social gatherings. They may sit in the corner, headphones on, and fear group meetings. They might even have a distrustful vibe. Yeah, I'm sure your team-building exercise will really help. Not. The Attachment Project blog points out that avoidant employees often mistrust leaders and are unlikely to conform to the group. However, in a crisis, say, an IT meltdown, they shine. They act quickly and decisively, needing no hand-holding. They also can work without supervision effortlessly. So while they may not be the warmest presence at the office party, they're often top performers when the task is clear and solo. Disorganized in the office. These employees can be the wild card. They might occasionally seek a lot of help from managers, then lash out if things aren't perfect, and other times isolate themselves. Their work output can be inconsistent. Brilliant one week, unreliable the next. They may misunderstand social cues and find office politics very confusing. This style is tricky for employers. Such an employee might need a flexible environment and perhaps professional support. By the numbers, interestingly, research has found some small differences. On average, women tend to score a bit higher on anxiety and men on avoidance. But remember, these gender trends are small. Any of us can have any style. Strategies at work. If you realize, for example, that you're anxious at work, try setting routines. Maybe check emails only at fixed times so you're not endlessly refreshing your inbox. Practice trusting feedback once, then waiting before seeking more. If you're avoidant, consider volunteering for a team project. Gradually, you might discover collaboration has its perks. Ultimately, getting through a workday isn't so different from a relationship. Secure communication and healthy boundaries help everywhere. Here's the
10.
bottom line. Becoming more secure, your attachment style,
a practical guide.
You can move toward more security. Bowlby himself believed our internal blueprints can be revised by new experiences. And research backs this up. Psychologist Katarzyna Peoples assures us that someone can change from an insecure attachment style and develop healthy and secure bonds in future relationships. Moreover, Levine and Heller underscore that relationships with secure folks tend to naturally train us to be more secure. So while it might feel scary, change is possible, albeit not always easy. Here are practical steps you can take to develop a more secure style and deepen emotional connections at work, at home, in love, and with friends. 1. Acknowledge your needs. First, it's vital to accept that needing love and safety is normal and healthy. Psychology today stresses, accept that your attachment needs are legitimate. Don't feel bad about your natural urge for interdependence. It's the stable foundation that enables us to take risks in the world. In short, being human means we crave support. If you catch yourself thinking, I shouldn't need so much reassurance, gently challenge that thought. Tell yourself, no, I'm allowed to want closeness. This mindset shift lays groundwork for security. 2. Build a secure base. With people, spend time with people who make you feel safe and good. Secure people, ideally. If someone consistently has you feeling anxious or neglected, it's okay to set them aside. PT's advice, focus on people who make you feel good. If someone doesn't make you feel good, move on. If someone makes you feel good, accept them instead of overanalyzing. Notice the difference when a friend or partner reassures you calmly versus one who avoids and confuses you. The more time you spend with secure individuals, the more their patterns can rub off on you. And yes, if you're already in a relationship with a securely attached person, lean on their steadiness and learn from how they handle emotions. 3. Practice communication. We all learned communication styles early on. If yours is anxious or avoidant, practicing new habits can help. A general tip: speak your truth calmly and kindly with the expectation of a positive response. That means owning your feelings without accusation. For example, instead of "you never text me back, what's wrong with you?" try, "I feel worried when I don't hear from you. Can we set a check-in time?" Notice the difference. Similarly, if you tend to clam up avoidant, make a small step. Tell one person how you really feel about something small. Training this muscle gradually makes vulnerability easier. And if you're anxious, before you flood someone with questions, try waiting a few minutes and doing some deep breathing. For self-soothing and mindfulness, everyone needs emotional regulation skills. When attachment alarms ring, heart pounding, stomach in knots, pause. Try some deep breaths or physically ground yourself. Feet on the floor, hands on thighs. Label your feelings. Okay, I feel scared and lonely right now. This practice helps create space between the feeling and the urge to panic. Over time, this calms the system. Journaling can help too. Write to yourself as a friend. I'm nervous about X. I remember past times I handled something similar. 5. Challenge negative thoughts. Anxious folks often catastrophize. This text delay means I'm doomed. And avoidance might rationalize people just can't be trusted. Learn to spot these thinking traps. Ask, what evidence do I have? Am I jumping to conclusions? Cognitive behavioral techniques can be useful here. For example, if you catch yourself assuming they hate me, take a breath and list counter evidence. But yesterday, they said they loved me. Also, they did X to show care. This retrains your internal script. 6. Therapy and books. Sometimes we all need a guide. Therapy, especially attachment-focused or emotionally focused therapy, can help reprocess old wounds. Reading reputable books or articles like Levine and Heller's Attached can give insights and exercises. A counselor or support group can also gently challenge old patterns. 7. Set healthy boundaries. This might sound odd, but secure people often have good boundaries. If you're anxious, learn to say a gentle, "I need a bit of reassurance now," without guilt. If you're avoidant, try setting small closeness goals, e.g., sit on the couch together watching TV without checking your phone. Gradual exposure can build tolerance. 8. Affirmations and self-compassion. Give yourself the same compassion you would a friend. Stern self-judgment, "I shouldn't feel like this," only reinforces insecurity. Instead, try. "It's okay to feel afraid. I'm working on it." Celebrate small wins. Text back later than usual, and you didn't panic. Survived a date without checking in, whatever it is. In sum, there's no overnight fix, as much as we wish there were. Think of this journey like going to the gym. A little consistent effort yields strength. The fact you're even reading this suggests you care about growing, which is already more secure behavior than the couch potato with fear approach. Remember Levine and Heller's upbeat insight. Being with someone secure tends to nudge you towards security. Also, Bowlby believed if new experiences consistently contradict your old fear-based scripts, your attachment can shift. For example, if someone reliable always reassures you, you slowly internalize, "Hey, maybe this person is going to be there," and anxiety melts. Conversely, an avoidant person having many small experiences of healthy closeness can teach, "Oops, showing feelings doesn't always end in disaster." Above all, remember, attachment styles are patterns, not prophecies. They grew because they helped you survive at one point. But now, they don't have to hold you back. With a bit of awareness, humor, and practice, you can cultivate the calm, trusting connections you deserve. Let this book be your secure base of knowledge, a place you can return to when you feel swayed by those old nerves. From here on, you're free to rewrite your story, maybe with fewer panic texts, more open hearts, and a lot more laughter along the way. You've got this. Not quite sure what your attachment style is yet? Don't worry. We've created a short, insightful quiz to help you find out. You can find the link in the description below. If you're on a journey of self-discovery, healing, and personal growth, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future content designed to support you every step of the way. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and let us know in the comments which attachment style resonated with you the most. Until next time, stay rooted in self-love.